All right, let's talk about something every single sports bettor has run into. You're watching the odds and suddenly they start to move. What does that mean and how can you use it to your advantage? Let's break it down.
You know the feeling, right? You've done all your homework, you found the perfect bet with great odds, and just as you go to lock it in, poof, the odds have changed. It is so frustrating. So, what is actually going on behind the scenes?
Okay, look at this. This is a real match. Wacker Innsbruck, the favorite, saw their odds take a nosedive from 1.85 all the way down to 160. Meanwhile, the odds for a draw or for Austria Wien to pull off the upset, they shot up. Now, this isn't just some random fluke. Trust me, it's the market sending a very clear signal. So, here's what we're going to cover. We'll get into the mystery of why these odds are always on the move. We'll peek behind the curtain at the bookies' numbers. Then, the fun part, calculating your expected value. We'll also tackle that tricky accept all button. And finally, how to pick the right bookmaker for you.
All right, first things first. Before we can really get into the nitty-gritty, you've got to understand how a bookmaker's brain works. And let me tell you, it's probably not what you're thinking. This right here is super important. The odds you're looking at on a betting site, they aren't the actual statistical probability of a team winning. Nope. They represent something called implied probability. And believe me, that's a whole different ballgame. And here's the secret sauce. Bookies aren't psychics trying to predict the winner. Think of them more like a scale. Their number one job is to get the same amount of money bet on all sides of an event. Why? So that no matter what happens, they collect their commission, the VIG, and walk away with a guaranteed profit. So when do the odds move? Well, it's all about what's happening in the real world. The star quarterback twists an ankle, odds change. A flood of money suddenly comes in on the underdog, odds change. Bookies have to react instantly to balance their books, making one bet look tastier and the other less so. Okay, so now that we know why the odds are changing, how do we use that? How do you figure out if that new lower odd is still worth taking or if the value is gone? Well, my friends, this is where we pull out our secret weapon, a little bit of math. Look, gut feelings are great, but they don't pay the bills long term. Instead, we can use a really simple but incredibly powerful formula to see what a bet is actually worth. It's called expected value, or EV for short. And all it does is tell you, on average, how much you'd win or lose if you made the exact same bet 100 or 1,000 times. If the number is positive, it's a good bet. If it's negative, you walk away. It's that simple. Okay, let's put this into practice. Remember our Wacker Innsbruck game? Let's say we put 10 euros on them at those new lower odds of 1.60. We're going to weigh our potential winnings against our potential losses. This is what separates the pros from the amateurs. You know, having a strategy is key, and part of that is finding the right place to bet. Speaking of which, if you are looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, just search for betplace.us in your browser. Anyway, let's run the numbers and see what we get. And the result is negative €1.16.
And this is huge. See, even though they're still the favorite to win, the math tells us this is now a losing bet in the long run. For every 10 euros you put down, you're statistically expected to lose over €1. The value that was there before, it's completely vanished. Okay, so you know how to spot the value, but what do you do when the odds change literally as you're clicking the bet button? Let's talk about a little feature you've probably seen on your bet slip. It's that little checkbox, accept all odds movement. When you tick that box, you're basically telling the bookie, I don't care if the price changes in the next half second, just place my bet. So what's the play here? It really comes down to control versus speed. Do you want to be the one who makes the final call on the value, even if it means missing a bet? Or, if you're live betting, do you need that split-second speed? The features that sites offer can make a big difference here. To see which platforms might fit your style, if you're looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, searching for BetPlace US in your browser can help you compare options. And that brings us to our final point, which is a big one. All this knowledge is great, but where you bet matters a lot. Trust me, not all bookies are created equal. Every sharp bettor runs through a mental checklist like this before they click confirm. You look at the news, you run the numbers, you check the market, and then, only then, you decide if the value is truly still there. It's about being a detective, not just a fan. Broadly speaking, you've got two kinds of bookies out there. You have sharp bookies, these are for the pros.
The odds are razor thin, the best you can find, but they move at the speed of light. Then you have soft bookmakers. They're aimed at the casual fan. And sometimes they're a little slow to update their odds. That's where you can find some real opportunities. Knowing which is a huge part of your strategy. For example, if you are looking for a list of the best betting sites in your country with a 300% bonus, you can always search for betplace.us in your browser to find lists that point you towards those more promotion-heavy sites. So let's wrap this all up. What's the big takeaway? It's that moving odds aren't just random numbers bouncing around. It's the market speaking to you. It's a living, breathing thing that tells you where the money, the hope, and the fear are all going. And once you learn how to use a tool like expected value, you can finally tune out the noise and start hearing the signals that actually lead to profit.